I don't know what they are. I thought they were like mermaids.
Ooh.
They look like
mer people.
They look like the kind of mer people in Harry Potter, but that's a bit weird. Only one! Can I say hi now?
You can say hi.
Hi!
Hello! Welcome back to A Story Worth Telling.
Indeed.
Where we do something, which is...
We tell stories.
No, we don't.
No, we don't actually. We talk about the stories.
We claim no credit for the stories.
None. We share our opinions about the stories.
Yes, we do.
And we talk about queer representation in media.
Gays.
And film.
Lesbians.
Anybody.
Bisexuals.
Transgender.
Sea monsters.
Sea monsters.
So today we're doing Luca.
Luca!
Which is a new Disney Pixar movie.
There's been a lot of rave about this film. Some of the things I've been seeing is a lot of people kind of commenting on how it's like the first Disney film that really shows a kind of gay storyline, or it hints towards a coming out story and representation. I know a lot of other people have been very concerned at the fact that they don't feel comfortable still showing arguably gay characters, and so we only are seeing it through the lens of, you know, Disneyfied characters that are not entirely human, or they're creatures. So there's like, it's an interesting debate, and having watched it, I don't know, I've got opinions. I would definitely say that I think Disney has come a long way in its progressive stance towards LGBTQ plus issues, or a multitude of issues. I do think like it actually is doing really well and kind of pushing those boundaries. You may not necessarily see it all the time in their like mainstream film content, but it's there around, you know, whether that's in just simple bits of marketing, or when you're looking at more of the kind of like the Disney Channel stuff, or their toys, or whatever it is. I think it's there.
I just don't get the whole beating around the bush with it. Like,
yeah, I don't either.
Why not just make a Disney movie that has gay characters in them?
Totally.
And then I guess the other argument to that is that if you want to kind of instill positive messaging towards, you know, accepting otherness in the community, then this is a great film for that. And maybe that is kind of more kind of child appropriate, because it's not just applicable to otherness in terms of sexual orientation. It could be applied to lots of different things. Yeah. So maybe that's the angle that they were going for. Right, let's do the clips. Roll the tape.
What? What are you doing?
First time?
Of course it is! I'm a good kid!
Right. Walking. This will be a breeze. Just don't get wet.
Actually, this town seems a little crowded.
Hey, Silenzio Bruno.
Silenzio Bruno!
Silenzio Bruno. So, I don't think this is about being gay at all, this first bit. Until they get onto the land, and then they're like, try not to get wet. Which to me is like, try not to look camp. Don't do anything that's going to give it away.
Well, it's really interesting for me, because when I was watching this, the first half of the movie, it felt like if there was going to be anything kind of that was the idea of him expressing his gay identity, it was
him being a fish.
No, like the idea that he could be like in the closet was him being a fish.
Oh.
And so then him like coming out to land. Because weirdly, I don't know if it's because I'm looking for it, because obviously there's been so much hype about it. So when you watch the film, you're like, oh, okay, I'm kind of like, you know, trying to see it. Yeah. But what I will say is that whether or not that's projecting or not, a lot of the language in the film is very interesting, to say the least. So like, even when he's like, I don't do this, I'm a good boy. Like, I can't help but think that's like a very specific kind of line that would be associated with certain topics. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, the elements of like where you would say, draw a conclusion to him, you know, kind of expressing a queer identity or a different identity is going on land. But then it flips later on in the film. Yeah. And so you see actually it's the other way around. But it's pretty, I don't know, it's interesting.
I think there's a lot of potential too much reading into what's going on in this movie, for sure.
Well, this is the thing. I'm kind of like, it is definitely a film about accepting others and otherness and people who are different.
The other thing I noticed here is that the fear of like fish hooks and things, which I think is really interesting. And then there's a couple of other scenes where they're like the girl's dad is like chopping the heads off fish, and I can't help but feel that that's like kind of fear of persecution, this sense of like unease in the environment because you know that you are potentially threatened by people's ways of life and beliefs. And
well, I mean, it would be the equivalent of kind of like walking down a street and nobody knowing you're gay, but seeing, you know, a poster on a wall that was like, no gay people here, or, you know, if you see
a
one
pride flag being ripped off and then being burned.
Right. So I can see that. That's the thing. I think this film definitely does draw on those elements in a very artistic way, if you like, in the way it kind of like reinterprets them for the purposes of the film. I don't think it's specifically a gay issue.
No.
I don't think it's specifically an LG. I think it's an issue that can apply to any and all people and communities that feel different, that feel part of the minority. And what I would say does sync with an LGBT theme is that for people who are dealing with their LGBTQ plus identity, unlike sort of racial and differences in sex and gender, where you can't necessarily hide those things. You can't hide the color of your skin. You can't hide your gender to someone. With sexuality, it is something. There is a huge sense that you can pass, or you can blend, or you pretend to be straight, whatever. And that definitely does come out in here. And I think that is definitely what a lot of people who do identify as gay or lesbian or bisexual, whatever, will identify with that.
Everyone in Portorosa pretends to believe in sea monsters.
Well, I'm not pretending.
The cat's homophobic.
That is a very homophobic cat.
No, I love cats. They can never.
Do you think he was mad at him being a fish, or him like wiping his face?
No touching.
No touching.
What's going on?
Julia, your school, does it take all kinds of people? What if some were, I don't know, sea monsters?
Sea monsters?
Yeah, I know, it's kind of hard to imagine. So let me just show you.
Don't hurt us!
See? I knew this would happen.
Monster!
Luca?
No!
There's something like deeply unsettling about that scene.
Yeah.
Like turning your back on your own kind just feels very wrong.
Yeah. They definitely picked up on something there. And again, like, not to kind of like read into it, but I guess the purposes of doing this channel and a video on this channel about this is, you know, to kind of talk about it, is to read into it. Yeah. That definitely does ring true with a lot of things where, like, for example, I don't know about you, but a lot of young kids, and I've experienced it as well when I was younger in school, knowing you are gay, but also if someone gets called gay,
like participating in the kind of, that person, you know, because it saves your own skin or it keeps you hidden or whatever, and it deflects the attention.
Exactly, and that's a common thing that I reckon a lot of kids experience, is the sense of like you kind of deny to survive or you deflect to survive, and it's not a nice thing to watch. And it's weird because you I've not seen anything like that in like a Disney film in ages, but it does kind of ring true to a lot of things.
Under the fish, now I get it. Of all the places for sea monsters to visit, have you seen this town? My father hunts sea monsters. You have to get out of here. Do you think I want you to leave? It's just not worth risking your life for a Vespa.
Goodbye, Julia. I'm sorry.
So as much as Julia's reaction there is like, you can't be here, like it's not worth risking yourself, I actually quite like her reaction.
Yeah.
because it's not like, oh my god, you're a sea monster.
She definitely has that kind of opinion that it's like similar to those people who, they're not like, outlandishly homophobic in the sense that they don't like gay people, but they worry. They fear the consequences or the potential harm that will come to a gay person's life. And so the easiest thing is to kind of hide it or sweep it under the rug for their own safety. And to an extent, I can understand that seems like, to a person who doesn't identify as queer, as the logical thing.
Yeah, it's a good option.
It's a good option. But as we know, that's not an option. That's not a solution to anything.
Although, having said that, I think it very much depends on like the circumstances surrounding it. Like for us here, if we came out to our parents and they kind of had that worry, it would be worrying about like the opportunities and like potential discrimination. Whereas if it was, someone who's coming out to their parents in like Chechnya, their parents will be thinking, well, my son could be rounded up and killed.
Yeah.
So maybe that is like, the only option available in a situation like that.
And funnily enough, that is actually what's going on in this film, is that they could be killed.
Yeah.
I don't think it's trying to scream, this is about gay people.
Yeah, it's not on the nose.
But I do think it is trying to draw some comparisons or similarities to it. I think it's trying to raise a message. And I'm not exactly angry in the way it's doing it. Like, I don't think it's a harmful way. I do understand when people are like, oh, I wish you could just literally do this and just have, like, it be about, But then also you have to remember that, like...
But then people wouldn't watch it.
Exactly. People wouldn't watch it. Like, that is just the truth. Like, people...
Well, I'd watch it, obviously. We'd watch it.
Yeah, we'd watch it.
But, like, parents would be like, oh, if it's about gay
exactly.
things, I'm not going to put it in front of my child.
And sometimes the easiest way to kind of trick people or convince people into watching it or however is
that Mountain style.
No, but legit, like, it is that you have to kind of like, you have to find a way of getting people to actually listen to or watch a point of view that if you just put it in their face and said what it was to begin with, they are likely to go, no, I don't want to. And they're still going, if we're going to get those messages in and show that we do support gay rights and we are, this is how you do it. Because they could just as easily put a film about two sea monsters and you wouldn't have people talking about this film being like, oh, I heard it's a gay film, or I heard it's like a film about that. And so the fact that it is doing that, it's causing that conversation.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
There's no point having a message, having a moral in a movie if no one's watching it. I'm quite enjoying the kind of recent swathe of Disney films that don't really focus on like romance and like, a knight saving a damsel and that kind of thing, because Frozen was like a decent example. Well,
Frozen, actually, it's funny you mention that, because that was a really good example, because I remember when Frozen came out, it was a huge thing because it was the first film where you didn't have, or I think it was the first film where you didn't have a male lead falling in love with a female lead. You had, it was a film about sisters and bonding, and that strength you had there, and that wasn't really something I don't think a lot of Disney films had come out with. It's two strong, female characters, and that caused outrage. I mean, people were accusing it of like it promoting a lesbian agenda.
Yeah.
And so that to me is a really good progress, because you've done something, even though it's, yes, it's about sisters, it's empowering to women, it's empowering to little girls, and if you're causing that much of an outrage, you're doing something right, in my opinion. And so if this causes anyone to go, oh, I can't believe they would show, a film like that kind of promotes this kind of ideals, and in my mind, I'm going, well, actually, Luca's doing a really good job.
You can't make an omelette without breaking eggs.
I like that.
Some shit like that.
Some shit like that.
You two don't belong here. Get out of my town.
Whoa! So long, evil empire of injustice.
Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm okay.
We're not afraid of you.
No, but we're afraid of you. Everyone is horrified and disgusted by you.
I know who they are. They are Luca and Alberto.
You raced your little tail off and kicked so much human butt! And I'm so proud of you, and I am so mad at you!
Give me that.
Yeah.
I never noticed that bit. That the two other
Yeah, the people that have been
people,
living
yeah,
undercover for all that time and their family.
oh,
It's a lovely little
it is
sequence,
lovely.
really.
It is really lovely.
I don't know, there's lots of like really nice little subtle bits of messaging in there, like accepting when people come out because they're the same person that you've known all along.
Yeah.
It's just that they've now got this like label.
And what I really like, even though it was kind of like the more nasty bit, was when the nasty guy, it's like, we're not scared of you. And you're like, no, but we're scared of you. We think you're disgusting. And that's a really important thing that I think a lot of people in our community, especially to those people out there who you're not able to be your authentic self all the time, like, I think it's really important to remember that, like, it's nothing to do with you. It's because other people are scared. They're like, they are scared of, like, of the unknown. And it's never anything. We're not, we have nothing to be scared of being our authentic self. And so people
have nothing to be afraid of.
And that's the thing, people
us.
have nothing to be afraid of, but it comes down to hatred spurred on by being scared, by being unfamiliar with it, and that creates the reign of terror. And it is just that, like, and it's
lack of education.
Yeah. Also, it's not our job, even though I think it's good sometimes to educate people, it's not our job to make those people not fear us, or it's not our job to tell those, try and convince those people not to be scared of us. But it is our job, I think, to be able to walk down the street, be ourselves, and say things like, yes, but I'm not scared of you.
It's not going to break down those barriers. It's not going to like open up that kind of communication and acceptance if you're constantly kind of in this state of fearing each other and lashing out.
Yeah. And that's, like I said, that is all well said and done, but that's totally, absolutely not easy for everyone in the world. Like, we know that looking eastwards in the world, we know that a lot of parts of the world, you still can't do that. And by any means, I would never encourage anyone to do that if, your life was at risk. I think it's always important to remember it's not you, it's the other people. I think we all know that.
What he did today was amazing. But we can't let him stay in this world.
Some people, they'll never accept him, but some will. And he seems to know how to find the good ones.
That was the bit that, like, stuck out to me the most for watching that whole film. That is such... I do think you can't watch this film without finding parallels in how this film is essentially talking about living as a queer person, or again, as a person of a minority group. Some people are never going to, and they're always going to fear, but like finding the people in the world who I'd like to think are the majority of people in the world nowadays, they will.
But you do have to surround yourself with people who love you. I don't know, it's hard because if you make connections with people who are the good ones, as she put it, then by definition you're kind of ignoring the bad ones, which I think is, there's so many people in this world, just like, if you've got toxic people who are homophobic towards you, then, cut them out of your lives. But having said that, if there's no like bridge between those people, then there's no way to kind of change, them from bad people to good people.
I think I totally agree. I think education is always important. Like, education is the kind of the thing that we need to focus on to create that bridge and to create more people and help them sort of see a more progressive side of things. I do think, sad as it is to admit, there will always be people in this world who, for what reason it is, will not, they're not going to budge. And that's just the way it is. And you have to just be like, okay, well,
life's too short.
Yeah.
If you can be yourself, be open, then enjoy it.
And the thing is, it's why we always say in our community in particular is that we, and Mama Roo says it too, we do just create our family. We find people around us and that becomes our family because those people are all accepting people.
Well, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get
Sometimes
the best
you
of both
don't.
worlds.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm one of those lucky people where I've never had to... I've always had my family. I've always had my friends from home. And I've found new friends as I've kind of explored kind of that side of me too. And I feel very lucky.
You are coming, right? I can't do it without you.
But you're never without me.
How am I gonna know you're okay?
Go, Luca! Go! Yeah!
As a gay man, a lot of my friends of other gay men, it is a very, like, it can become a very emotional friendship.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you're like hanging out with like another gay friend of yours, and there will always be those people who will be like,
Where's this going?
are you two together or whatever? And I think they say that because A, it's like two gay people in a room and most people assume they're together. But B, because there's a level of affection that I don't quite think straight people understand. Because I can be, like, we can often be found, like, when we're not being sassy to each other, we can also be found, you know, like, hugging and kind of kissing and like, being really, really affectionate to each other. And I don't think people understand that. And I think that's because we have a common understanding of just how vulnerable we can be as gay people.
It's also like we're just the most comfortable we could be around people who are the same. In summary then, probably not a film about gay people, but a film about themes that are definitely things that the gay community experience.
I think it's a film that encompasses gay people in the sense that I think it encompasses all people who experience an element, part of their identity that is shunned by society or on the outside or feel like they're part of a minority community that isn't accepted. And like, yeah, 100%. Like, whether or not you want to specifically say, oh no, it's because they're gay, like, that's fine. And I think that's perfectly okay to kind of take from it. Like, if you want to take that, because a little bit of me kind of does take that as well. Because I see certain things, I'm like, oh, well, I kind of understand the sort of like the blending in parts to it or the hiding, whatever. It definitely should be a film where like we can all take something from it, because that's a really useful thing. I think we should all be able to, from whatever community we're a part of, be able to take elements of that and kind of use it as, you know, education for our kids and stuff.
Even if, you know, your kids don't form part of that kind of minority group, they can still be the people that accept them as being fish people.
Absolutely. Like, even if, you know, you come from a heterosexual family raising some kids and you don't think, you know, they're gonna be, I don't know, but like still show them the film to
stick
be like,
this on.
Yeah, stick it on and be like, hey, by the way, just so you know, like,
if you ever turn into a fish,
into a fish, or you know anyone who could turn into a fish, just know it's okay.
That's okay. That's the lesson.
We should use that as a metaphor from now on. Did you turn into a fish? Okay, well, fish are okay too.
No, that's sea monsters.
Sea monsters.
Yeah.
Silenzio, Bruno!
Silenzio, Bruno.
Well, that was Luca. We hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, let us know if you agree or disagree.
Please. And we expect to see a lot of comments and things, because I'm telling you, there's been a lot of requests for this, so we know you're out there.
Mm-hmm.
We want to hear all your thoughts. And also, it's really nice to do a Disney film. Like, I feel like
it really is.
We do a lot of films, but sometimes it's nice to kind of do the films that are less serious.
Well, thank you so much for watching.
Thanks!
Drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more content. I'm trying to do videos like weekly, don't we?
Silenzio, Bruno! Bye!
Thanks, bye. That's a very good point.
I know.
Yeah. You're good at this shit.
I know.
Right, I want to see the little pussy.